The 19 minutes of trajectory, what you saw that day, is a completely autonomous landing sequence. There is no human intervention involved. So landing, when you say, it's a totally different ball game as compared to an orbiting mission. There was a time when we had to stay at home. That was a time when we were building the spacecraft on paper. We created artificial craters like in moon. I think it was excellent encouragement from our Honorable Prime Minister himself. He was there when it didn't go well, and he was there on success. We could complete the mission and we could achieve the success. He was there also. He was at the BRIC summit when the landing was happening, and once he came back, he came in person, he met us, he flew down. Once he flew down, he directly came to Bangalore. In the morning he reached, and the first thing he did was Mr. Madhavan played it very well. The rocketry was very good. So I remember that movie. So the day when we went with all hopes and all good hopes, what really happened was not what we expected. Chandrayaan 2 mission was led by Project Director Madam Vanita, a woman. We had the recent Aditya project led by Madam Nigar Shaji. So the graph is growing actually.
Welcome to MyGov. This is me, Korak Roy, and it gives me great pleasure to bring to you another very special episode here at GDP at MyGov, Growth, Dreams, Passion. When I told you all on our social media handles that I am coming to ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization headquarters here in Bangalore, and asked you guys to send in your questions, we got some 1700 plus questions in the first hour itself. That just goes on to show that how excited, how interested the youngsters of India are for space and for ISRO, how space enthusiasts you all are. So that is why this episode for you all, if you want to be a space engineer, if you want to be a scientist, if you want to work in space research, if you want to work in ISRO, then this one is for you. Today we have a very special guest here with us. She was the second in command for Chandrayaan 3, an absolutely historic mission for India. We have here with us Kalpana Kalahasti, ma'am. Kalpana, ma'am, welcome to MyGov.
Thank you.
How are you, ma'am?
Fine, all good.
Okay, ma'am. We definitely will speak about Chandrayaan 3, of course. But before that, we kind of want to find out about the person that Kalpana is, the person that Kalpana was during her childhood days. So what was your childhood in Chennai like?
Yeah, typical childhood. Lot of memories from school with friends, and I was equally interested in literature, languages also, apart from science. So a lot of good memories from my childhood, my school-going days at Chennai.
Lovely. What were some of your favorite subjects? How did this interest towards space, this interest towards science, engineering, how did that happen?
No, basically, yes, a lot of interest towards. I had great interest towards biology also, and it is a mixed sort of interest. I don't say that I was purely interested only in science. Languages also were of utmost importance, and I was very much interested in languages. Geography also was my interest. So I think it's a mixed interest, and definitely science was my priority. So that's how it was.
Lovely. I know this for a fact that you have been working here at ISRO for 21 years, right? 2003?
No, I joined in 1999 in Sriharikota. So yes.
So that makes it 25 years.
Yes.
Wow. So 1999 in Sriharikota, 4 years there?
Nearly 5 years I worked there, and then I took a transfer to URO Satellite Center. So when I joined as a radar engineer, and then I moved to URO Satellite Center as a spacecraft systems engineer. So that was my initial days of my association with satellite building. So I joined as a spacecraft systems engineer, electrical systems engineer. And I was involved in many remote sensing satellites, small satellites. I was part of the team which built the basic small satellite buses. We built 2 buses. So I was part of that team. So a lot of experience came in towards satellite building from those missions. And also I was part of certain ISRO-Kenes cooperation mission. So that's how it was in the beginning of my career in URO Satellite Center. And after that, I had taken up as Associate Project Director, Electrical Systems for Chandrayaan 2. And And then on, after Chandrayaan 2, you know.
The world knows. The world knows. Ma'am, you mentioned Chandrayaan 2, so I want to ask you, uh, the day when the communication was lost, we spoke to Somnath sir as well, and then in a few hours, by the next day, it was a confirmation that it didn't end up in a success. Chandrayaan 2 didn't end up in a success. What was that day in the team like? What was the mindset? What was going on in your minds?
See, before I go into the mindset at that moment, see, Chandrayaan 2, when we had taken up as a team, it was a totally different type of mission as against the missions which we were doing till then. All were, we did have a lot of challenging missions, be the Mars Orbiter mission or the Chandrayaan 1 mission, but they were all orbiting missions. We did go to another interplanetary body, but they were all orbiting missions. So we had mastered at that by the time, and then further it's always like there is always a next step, right? So that's how Chandrayaan 2 was taken up as a first landing mission. So landing, when you say, it's a totally different ball game as compared to an orbiting mission. The technologies that are involved in building a landing mission is way different, and it was very new for our team. So we started from the scratch, from the drawing board. We went through a lot of literatures, the international missions which they had accomplished by then, and we went through and built our own technologies. Whatever required, we had built, and all these technologies we had indigenously built, and we had tested, done all the needful, and then we had gone for the Chandrayaan 2. So the day when we went with all hopes and all good hopes, what really happened was not what we expected. Definitely, it did bring in disappointment, and but nevertheless, all the new technologies what we built, most of it we could demonstrate. So that was one positive fact about the Chandrayaan 2 mission. Yes, we did not reach the end goal, we agree, but towards that, whatever effort we had put in, there were many, many new technologies, particularly when it comes to the navigation, guidance, and control systems, which is very much essential for a landing mission, because this landing is completely autonomous. It's an autonomous landing sequence. There is no human involvement in this. So the technologies what we had built towards this, most of it we could demonstrate. So that was the positive fact about it. So when you asked what we felt on that day, along with this disappointment, there is also a lot of positive factors which had gone into it. And it gave us all the encouragement to start once again freshly towards Chandrayaan 3 to complete whatever we had taken.
Absolutely, absolutely. That day, there was a moment that became quite the talk of the town. That became, people in the world were talking about it. Was when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was with Keshavan sir, and he was hugging him and consoling him. Did that moment instill a further sense of encouragement in the team?
Absolutely, certainly, because that is what we look for similar thing from our higher management. That is what we got from our higher management, and the similar thing we are getting from the Honorable Prime Minister himself. He is there to encourage us at that moment, which is very essential. And I feel that became a defining moment to take it up once again and bring in all the encouragement. So it was very much essential for the team building and taking up the mission once again. I think it was excellent encouragement from our Honorable Prime Minister himself.
Amazing. Soon the journey for Chandrayaan 3 started. You became second in command. I know if we have to talk in depth, it might take a long time. But in short, a little while, if you can tell us, what was that journey like? The process from, say, day one or week one or month one of starting work for Chandrayaan 3, and then the day when it happened.
So I think before I start off, let me introduce our team. So Chandrayaan 3, when we took over, so we had Dr. Veeramuthuvel as a project director and myself as associate project director. And we had a big team. Primarily, we had nearly 33 deputy project directors. So because there are a lot of technologies involved here, there are a lot of areas of work involved. So we had several team members who are experts in their own domains, be it the structural engineer or the thermal power, onboard computer, the propulsion systems. So we had a good team actually. So we started off afresh. So if you ask the journey, any time, any mission which we are going to go for the second time, what is first essential is to understand what happened in the first mission. So it started off with that. So first we spent considerable amount of time understanding what really happened in Chandrayaan 2. So from the data what we received, from the last bit of the data, telemetry data what we received, we went through it, we had a failure analysis board formed, and we analyzed the data thoroughly, and we got a good amount of clarity on what happened really, what led to the issue. So now we have to, with this understanding, we have to rebuild another lander which is going to be more robust, which needs to be more robust enough to handle any sort of failure which can come up, which can crop in. So this is how we started. So understanding what really happened and then building a more robust lander which is capable enough.
So yes, ma'am, for those who might know not know the technicalities that well, what is a lander, to explain to them?
So generally satellites are launched to do certain function. So it may be for certain applications. You take it with a launch vehicle and place it around the interplanetary body or any planet per se or a moon to do certain observation. So it can be a remote sensing observation, or it can be for a communication purpose or for navigation purpose. They are all for certain application purpose. So here in Chandrayaan 1, we had taken an orbiter. Chandrayaan 1 was an orbiting mission to observe the moon at an orbit, say 100 kilometers above the moon. So it was orbiting around the moon. So it is doing a remote sensing observation, or the study is at a distance away from the moon. So it did not have a physical contact on the moon. So we were not able to do any in situ measurements on the lunar surface. So that was an orbiting mission. Now we cannot stop with that. We always move forward. We have to do something better and better. That's when we wanted to go for a landing mission. So when you say a lander, you are taking this satellite. You can imagine it like a satellite only, but you are going to take it and place it softly, gently. You are going to place it to have a physical contact on the lunar surface. So what it calls for is a satellite which is going with a particular velocity. So this lander itself, when it was around the moon, it was having a velocity of around some 1.67 kilometer per second. The lander which is having this particular velocity, we have to kill the velocity and we have to break the velocity, and we have to take it and place it very softly on the lunar surface, because obviously if it has to function further on the moon, it should not hard land, because the avionics is certain to fail if it hard lands. So the challenge here is to soft land this lander on the lunar surface, and you have to take it to a surface which is clean enough, which is a safe place to land, because you know the moon surface, the terrain is very rough. There are a lot of boulders, craters and many things. So the moon is nearly 4 lakh kilometers away from Earth. So you have to take a craft to moon. That is the first challenge. You reach the moon, you are orbiting around the moon, and then you have to take it and land it softly on the terrain which is very rough. Is it not? So the terrain is very rough. You don't know how it is going to be. So now you have to build all the intelligence in the lander such that it as it is, the velocity is, as we break the velocity and as we take the craft down and make it land, the lander should be intelligent enough to navigate and ascertain that it is going to land in a safe place. So it has to navigate and avoid all the obstacles and reach in a very safe place. So this is what a lander has to do. It has to break the velocity and then safely and softly land onto a clean surface.
Right. So basically, in the simplest of terms, an orbitary satellite, if this is the planetary body, orbitary satellites keeps orbiting around it, revolving around it, and the lander, as the name suggests, actually lands, which it couldn't successfully do in Chandrayaan 2. And that is why you were saying that a robust lander was needed to be created for Chandrayaan 3. Amongst many challenges, one of the challenges that happened for Chandrayaan 3 is that a lot of the work happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, that entire long period. Tell us a little about that. What were those challenges like, and how did the team overcome that?
Yeah, when we started off with Chandrayaan 3, project was formed, team was formed, and we started building this lander as well as the propulsion module. Chandrayaan 3 has 3 modules, so a lander, propulsion module and rover. We started configuring the satellite, and that's when the COVID had set in. So it was a difficult time because we could not come to office in person. So there was a time when we had to stay at home, but that duration we tried to productively utilize it, because that was a time when we were building the spacecraft on paper. So we utilized the time to have a lot of work from home. A lot of work was done from home, be it the design aspects, or we had a lot of reviews conducted in online mode, and the design, the interfaces were being built. So a lot of documentation happened in online mode. So whatever possible we could do, we utilized that opportunity, and we were trying to build the craft on paper. And so by the time COVID came to an end, we were almost ready with the document part of it. And when we came back, we really started building the hardware. So that's how we try to utilize the period COVID.
Lovely, lovely. Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, in your team, the one that you were leading second in command, there were more than 54 women scientists, technicians, and engineers who were working for the Chandrayaan 3 mission. Tell us about that. And it literally goes hand in hand with PM Modi's vision of Nari Shakti and women empowerment. So tell us a little about that.
So in our team, we had, as I said, we had experts from various domains. So when we say team, gender doesn't come to our mind at all, because we had men and women, girls and boys from the younger side. So we were a team comprising of both men and women working together shoulder to shoulder. And never we had this thought about the gender. Never we did think that I am a woman or he's a man. So for us, it was only the goal. So we had many women engineers in our team, from the software domain, from thermal engineers, our own the assembly integration and testing DPD was a woman. So we had several DPDs from the RNQA. So we had the deputy project directors of reliability and quality assurance from women were there. And so we had many women scientists of different age sector, be it DPDs and different ranges actually. So we had DPDs, project managers, system engineers. So it was mix of all. So that's how we could work together and towards this common.
Absolutely. The common goal, which the day when it happened, when Somnath sir said that India is on the moon, the entire country was watching, Indians across the world were watching. What was that moment like? What was that day like? And even that moment, what was that like?
See, it was a momentous achievement, no doubt, because it was the most life satisfying moment. Because the mission what we had taken up during Chandrayaan 2, we could complete it, and we could complete it flawlessly. So that is the ultimate thing. So what we had taken up as a team, what we had taken up, that goal we could achieve. And the way we achieved was one more satisfying thing, and the most unforgettable moment for a complete team, I would say.
Absolutely incredible. Ma'am, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was there when Chandrayaan 2 didn't become a success. Prime Minister Narendra Modi couldn't be there in person because he was in a conference, but he was there throughout live watching when Chandrayaan 3 did become a success. How much, as you mentioned before as well, how much did his vision, did his support play a part in the morale boost of ISRO entirely as far as the team is concerned?
There were a lot of morale boosting. As you started off Chandrayaan 2, he was there. He was there when it didn't go well, and he was there when success, we could complete the mission and we could achieve the success. He was there also. He is there at all moments of the mission. That is actually something which we should remember. It's not only during success, or it was not only the tough moments. He was there. He is there throughout actually. And the day when he participated online, and when he spoke to our team, and also when he came back in person, the first thing what he did, I think he was at the BRIC summit when the landing was happening, and once he came back, he came in person, he met us, he flew down. Once he flew down, he directly came to Bangalore. Morning he reached, and the first thing he did was he met our team. And as you know, he also coined, if you remember, the landing site, the landing area where we spot, he coined the name as Shiva Shakti Point, which rightly indicates the contribution of men and women towards this mission. And he also named, he just didn't leave, stop with that. He also named the Chandrayaan 2 point as a Tiranga point. So he is there throughout and encouraging us.
Absolutely amazing. Lovely to hear. Ma'am, you mentioned encouragement. You, Somnath sir, the entire team that was part of the successful Mars mission as well, you all are inspiring a young generation. When you were growing up, or when you were studying to become a scientist, when you were there in your initial years in ISRO, who were the people that inspired you? Who did you look up to?
I think there were many, like many, I wouldn't say as a specific role model. In school, I was inspired by my teachers themselves, my science teacher. So I think they were the inspiring role models when I was at school. And further, whenever many like scientific achievements used to happen, be it our own rocket launches which used to happen, we used to watch in TV the time. So I think the missions or the achievements which used to happen, I think that was more inspiring, and those events were more inspiring. I wouldn't say as a specific role model, those particular events or those achievements which were going on at that point of time, it used to be so fascinating, and there was always this attempt to understand what is happening. So I think those things were inspiring. Apart from that, I think whoever I used to meet in my day-to-day life, whoever were good at their own fields, I think they were all inspiring. My mother also was a role model actually for me. So I think every woman I came across during my growing up and who were excelling at in their own fields, all were role models, I would say.
Absolutely incredible. Ma'am, you mentioned all the women who were excelling in their fields were role models for you. You are a person, a woman completely excelling in your field. Your historic achievements are going to be etched in India's history for years. If one has to ask you, what is going to be one message that you would like to give, not just young Indian girls, but young Indian girls, young Indian boys, everybody who wants to build a career, and especially who wants to build a career in the world of science, wants to become a scientist, wants to become an engineer, maybe wants to work in space? What will be the one message that you will have for those young Indian kids?
See, I think you have to work towards your interest and instincts. And if you are, say, interested in STEM or space in particular, I would say, like, first, knowledge is ultimate. So, building yourself, making yourself capable enough with respect to the knowledge building, that alone is not adequate. There's a lot of practical knowledge also required. So, whatever opportunity you get, be it the smallest opportunity, you have to grab it and keep your eyes open towards what is happening around the world when it comes to technology. So, I think wholesome growing is important, not just the academics. So, I think you have to keep your eyes open and build yourself in a wholesome way. You building your communication skills also is important because you should be able to convey what is in your mind. So, should not be in your comfort zone. I think we should get used to coming out of our comfort zone. So, I think all this put together, we have to grow up in a wholesome way is what I believe. And but knowledge, your I think you're getting your fundamentals right is very important, I feel. So
Ma'am, India as a country has had enormous talent always. Decades back, even centuries back, it was there. The world recognized it. But what is the reason, would you say, that when it comes to ISRO, achievements galore are happening by the month, launches are happening by the month? In the last decade, in the last 5 years, you here itself have been 21 years. What do you think the shift, what caused the shift, what caused the paradigm shift that led to these massive achievements in the last decade?
I think there is a certain culture in ISRO, some unwritten culture. Our forefathers have built this sort of culture within ISRO where we work towards, we take up challenging projects and we work towards that with utmost commitment. I think our goal drives us. Once we are given a project, we are given an assignment, we work together as a team towards that particular goal. I think we are goal driven. I think this is a culture which has come all along from the forefathers who built ISRO. So it is this, I think, we are used to this sort of working towards goal. I think this is what driving us. It is not like our goal drives us towards the completion of the project. I feel we are that way.
Absolutely amazing. Ma'am, the government of India has a vision when it comes to ISRO. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been vocal about time and again about his vision when it comes to ISRO. How much do you think the support from the government has had a role to play in these massive number of achievements that are also happening in the last decade, the last half a decade?
Government has always been encouraging and kind enough, be it the with respect to the sanction of the budgets, essential budgets, the financial sanctions, not just the aspect with respect to the budget, but also being there along with us. As I said, they were always there during the tough times and as well as during the moments of achievements. They have always been there encouraging. So our Prime Minister was there, Honorable Vice President was here to interact with us. So they all have been there. A Science and Technology Minister had been there. They're always with us to interact with us and encourage us to understand what is happening, the vision they are creating for us for ISRO, based on which our roadmap is arrived at. So they've always been there encouraging, and I feel that is what is really helping us to grow fast.
Absolutely amazing. Ma'am, I want to ask you something. You mentioned that during the process of work for Chandrayaan 3, it was all scientists with one goal, the successful completion of mission Chandrayaan 3. The gender of the scientist didn't matter. It didn't matter male or female. When you joined in 1999, were there any challenges that you faced as a woman in STEM, as a woman in the field of space science? Were there any challenges, or was even back then the attitude of everybody working in ISRO the same, that there's one goal and that is the successful completion of the mission? Nothing else matters.
Absolutely, because in ISRO, that is the culture which is built in. There is no difference with respect to, there is no gender disparity. So, gender doesn't come to our mind when it comes to work. What speaks here is your work, your capability, your inclination to take up challenges, and how you execute it with sincerity and commitment. I think that is what matters in ISRO, to my knowledge, and that's how we work here. So, if at all you think about any glass ceiling or anything, it is imaginary and it's within you, which you need to try to break it. So, otherwise, it is work that speaks in ISRO.
Absolutely amazing. Which I think directly brings me to my next question. This picture after the successful completion of the Mars mission. Yes, yes. We'll show you guys on the screen itself. So this picture became absolutely world famous, an iconic photo after the success of the Mars mission. Women scientists of ISRO have inspired 140 crore Indians. Is it safe to say that women are now leading the charge when it comes to India's premium space institution?
Exactly, because we have examples. If you see, Chandrayaan 2 mission was led by Project Director Madam Vanita, a woman. We had the recent Aditya project led by Madam Nigar Shaji. Not just that, as I said, we had many deputy project directors in our team, project managers, and we have many deputy directors, women deputy directors, and group directors in our organization, heading their respective groups, so leading their groups. So women are there in leading positions, and it is constantly growing. And we have many more upcoming projects. We have women project directors heading the projects. So the graph is growing actually.
Absolutely.
So we wish it should be a
Steep growing graph completely, just like a rocket that launches from ISRO, from Sriharikota. And I know this podcast is for the students, GDP, for their career making, but the way ISRO functions, I mean, this is a learning lesson for every company out there as well. Private sectors, all the companies, you have a work environment like this, well, then there's not going to be any gender disparity there either. Ma'am, we spoke so much about the work, which was absolutely exciting and so much exciting for the space enthusiasts as well. But now we want to get to know Kalpana, the person, a little as well. I was just asking Somnath sir that the people who work at ISRO, be it here in Bangalore or Sriharikota, without any doubt, some of the brightest minds in the country, without a doubt. Do these bright minds, do you all also spend your free time the same way as we mere mortals do? How do you guys spend your free time away from work?
Definitely, we are same. We are human beings with definitely a lot of interests. It's not just work, but what is different here is work predominates when it comes to projects. When we take up, particularly when we take up such projects of national importance, work dominates. Actually, work becomes our priority, no doubt on that. But that when we have time, there is certainly a lot of things what we also do at home. Of course, the time we get, we used to take it out for a family because family time is very important.
How many people are there in your family now?
My husband and I have a daughter. She just completed her engineering. So with my parents and our own family members. So the first thing what we do is the time we get, we try to take it out for a family. And apart from that, our own interests, our hobbies, whatever it is. So there is always a me time which is required apart from spending time with family. So taking care or ensuring my house, my what is required, and also certain hobbies, whatever I have. I love music.
What are some of your hobbies apart from music also?
Music, and I love cooking also. So bit of reading whenever I find time, apart from our technical books or other our own things. So music is my interest, and of course with family catch up, watch television or some good movies on OTT, or we just find time
Oh,
on the weekends.
you watch movies and OTT both?
No, mostly now it is easy.
On
OTT is
right,
easier
right.
because on weekends, yes, sometime we try to take out.
Oh, lovely.
And, take
So
out.
you guys like to watch movies?
Yeah,
So
in the
that
weekend. Yeah.
wonderful. That automatically brings me to my next question, which I'm glad that you like to watch movies. It is an absolute certainty that the way a movie called Mission Mangal was made on the Mars project, multiple movies will be made on the Chandrayaan project as well. And you were second in command. So, very, very important character in the film. Who would you want, which actress, which Indian actress would you want to play your character in the Chandrayaan 3 movie?
Thought in that angle at all. Definitely, I have not thought in that angle. So let it be portrayed well by whoever takes it up. Let it be portrayed in.
Well, like one or two choices maybe. Doesn't can be Hindi, can be so many amazing actresses from the Malayalam industry, Tamil, Telugu industry, Kannada industry.
I don't know. I'm not remembering anyone
One-
for my character, but
Yes.
yeah, I remember. See, Mr. Madhavan played it very well. The rocketry was very good.
What a film.
So I remember that movie. So let him do a good movie.
Maybe Maddie sir, a movie on Chandrayaan 3, maybe. And what a movie that's going to be. Chandrayaan 2, interval is going to be that scene where Keshavan sir is with PM Modi sir, and then the rest of the second half is going to be about the success of Chandrayaan 3. Maddie sir, great film idea there. Yes. Yeah. Ma'am, it has been so amazing talking to you. Before we let you go, we want to ask you, the last time when I asked you, it was for general, all students. But now, if we want to ask you a message that you would want to give for youngsters who are space enthusiasts, my own nephew is one, who dream of someday being a space engineer, maybe working in ISRO, seeing their work take off from Sriharikota. What one message would you like to give for youngsters like these?
STEM is something which is going to take you towards ISRO. So you're taking up anything with respect to engineering, because ISRO is one place where you find all the core engineering subjects coming into shape into once a satellite. If you take a satellite or a rocketry or a rocket, it involves every core engineering field. Okay, be it electronics, mechanical, chemical, thermal, you name it, and every engineering core engineering subject is part of it. So taking up engineering is very essential, and get your fundamentals right. So you have a centralized examination available, so you have to crack it and then go through the interview process to get into ISRO. So that is how you get into ISRO. But apart from that, we have many programs available, be it the Yuvika program we have, which is for the Yuva Vigyan Karikram. You have the Unnati program where you get hands-on experience on building a nano satellite. So you can be part of it. You can go through all these details available in our ISRO website. And we have a lot of internship programs coming up. You can be part of it. Now it's open to everyone. It's not just for the ISRO families. So everyone can apply for that. I'm talking on behalf of the engineering students. So you can apply for that and get some experience on the you can get into our labs and get a feel of what is happening here at ISRO. So we have the internship programs happening, projects and also fellowship programs are there. Many things are there. You can get good details from our ISRO website. So I think apart from doing your engineering from college, try to do good projects, try to generate a lot of papers, participate in many workshops, seminars. I think you have to, as I said earlier, it should be wholesome learning, not just with respect to your examinations. Let it be a wholesome learning so that your awareness increases, and you get a hold on the knowledge of whichever subject you have chosen. And also try to utilize these opportunities which are available at ISRO. So your growing or your learning also becomes complete. I think all put together, if you're interested, definitely you can land here.
Absolutely. You can land here, and then who knows, your work can lead to another rocket getting landed on one of the planetaries. And who knows, maybe your work can then lead to another rocket getting landed on one of the planets, just like it was the case for Chandrayaan 3. Ma'am, I want to ask you the challenges that were there for the lander to successfully land on the surface of Moon, on the lunar surface, which led to the completion not happening properly in Chandrayaan 2. How challenging was it for Chandrayaan 3 as well? What all did you guys have to do to fix that and ensure that Chandrayaan 3 was going to be a success?
So landing, if you see, why is landing or how why this Chandrayaan 3 was glorified compared to the previous mission, if you see, landing is a totally different ball game. So you're trying to take a craft to moon and make it soft land on a terrain which is totally unknown. The environment there is totally different. So if you mention on the key facts, the gravity there is totally different as compared to Earth. It is 1/6 of the gravity, and again the gravity is not uniform on the terrain. It is a varying gravity, and there is no atmosphere there. It is vacuum condition, whereas Earth there is atmosphere. And navigating through such a navigating in a place where GPS doesn't work, so how do you navigate there? These are all different when compared to Earth environment. A satellite's functioning here around the Earth. So now the challenge here is, how do you test such a lander on Earth even before you take it?
Oh, yes.
So you have to be confident enough before you take it. So how you have to ascertain that this craft is going to demonstrate landing on a moon surface where the environment is totally different. So the first challenge is, you have to build a lander which is going to do this autonomously. As I said, the complete landing sequence, the trajectory, what you saw, the 19 minutes of trajectory, what you saw that day, is a completely autonomous landing sequence. There is no human intervention involved. So first you have to build a lander which is going to do this autonomously and on a terrain where the environment is totally different. So you have to build a lander and you have to test this lander on Earth environment. How do you do this? This is the challenge. So we did to a great extent during Chandrayaan 2, but now we have to improve and ensure in all aspects that success is ascertained. So we came up with certain special test, which is very essential to ascertain this. This is called the lander special test, what we did it here on Earth. First thing, we took a scale down model of this lander on a helicopter. So because we have to emulate that velocities, because the lander when it was coming down to land, nearly around it started off with 1.67 kilometer per second, and slowly the velocities we had to break the velocity and we had to bring it down. So we had to emulate this velocity. So we had to find a platform for this. So we did it on a helicopter, because helicopter can do the hovering also. There is a point during the trajectory where the lander was hovering. Okay, so this hovering also we had to emulate here. So we took a scale down model of the lander on a helicopter and we did the test. We created artificial craters like in moon. We created in Chitradurga, and we tested all the sensors. So this was the first test. We called it as integrated cold test. So with this, we could ensure the performance of the sensors and also the navigation guidance and control systems so that it could function in closed loop. Then we had one more test called the integrated hot test because the engines were firing, if you remember. So all these engines also we had to test in firing condition along with the sensors. So we did this test in Sriharikota, Shar. On a tower crane, we had hung a lander equivalent scale down model of the lander and we had tested this. And also one more test which is called the drop test, lander leg drop test. The 4 legs were there for the lander, right? So the legs are the elements to absorb the energy and provide the required stability at landing. So different velocity conditions it should be able to handle. So be it the vertical velocity or the horizontal velocity, also the different slope conditions. It's not flat. The terrain there is not a football ground, right? There is a certain amount of slope.
Exactly.
There are boulders and craters. So there is a regolith soil present there. So this sort of uncertain terrain we have to handle. So the legs have to be demonstrated. The leg capability has to be demonstrated for its capability to handle the velocity. So we did a lander leg drop test. So all these 3 tests, I would say, gave all the confidence for building the confidence that yes, this lander, the robust lander, what we built is capable enough and it is well tested so that we can go ahead. So I think these tests are very key. Were very key to ascertain and bring the confidence that this time it is going to do the need.
I think that is exactly what Somnath sir said as well. He said that the research results that we had, the paperwork that we had, it all showed us that this will become a success. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Ma'am, you were mentioning from the government's efforts something that is soon about to happen, which is the Vigyan Puraskar. Do tell us about that.
Yeah, recently government had announced the Vigyan Puraskar award, and yes, it's happy to note that Chandrayaan 3 team has been awarded the team award for Vigyan Puraskar team award. So that is a recent good thing which has happened, and the government has recognized our team's efforts and acknowledged this success. So that is one reason good thing which has happened now, and our team will be receiving this.
Ma'am, where will you guys be going to receive the award?
It will be in Delhi.
Rashtrapati Bhavan?
Rashtrapati Bhavan, yes.
Wonderful. Absolutely amazing. Lovely. We had here with us Kalpana ma'am, second in command of the Chandrayaan 3 project. Kalpana ma'am, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time here at MyGov. Ladies and gentlemen, that was today's GDP at MyGov. We definitely hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Do share in the comments what you thought about this episode, and of course, subscribe to MyGov India for more such content just like this that you watch only on MyGov. This is me, Korak Roy. See you in the next podcast.